Welcome to the Paul Chandler Show, everyone. I'm your host, Paul Chandler. In tonight's episode, we're going to be covering time management. Most credential exams with the AAPC are 5 hours and 40 minutes and 150 questions. And provided that someone has personal experience with work or also education, the main reason why someone does not pass is simply time management. They know what they're doing, they just run out of time. Because with that 150 questions and 5 hours and 40 minutes, that breaks down to 2 minutes and 15 seconds per question. That's also provided you don't get up and go to the restroom at all. You don't get up and stretch your back. You don't get up and I need to clog my brain. Okay, I need to get out in the hallway, walk a couple seconds and let it declog, if you will. So what we're covering tonight are time management techniques. So that way you can narrow it down to 2 minutes per question, and you'll get about 37.5 minutes of buffer time at the end. But still narrowing it down to 2 questions in covering that time period in say 4 minutes, that could work, but say 5 questions in 10 minutes. Averaging it out so it averages to 2 minutes per question. So I'll be showing you on my screen, and I'll be working through a couple of the examples of multiple choice questions, and I'll be showing you how I attack the question. And I use that term specifically, attacking the question. That way you can get done in the 2 minutes. Because with my experience with the AAPC credentials and the last few specialty exams that I took, still 5 hours and 40 minutes allowed and 150 questions, I was averaging the exams in about 2 hours and 45 minutes. To the point where I often have to fly somewhere to take an exam just so I can get it in on my schedule back when doing all the exams in person. And I would usually have my flight booked to be flying back home and the exam's still going on. Now that technique, what I'll be showing you, hopefully that does not get you your exam done in 2 hours and 45 minutes, because that will just mean you just maybe got about through halfway through and said, screw it, it'd be all the way down and go home. Not for that reason, but showing how you, as the beginning coder, can still finish the exam in that 5 hours and 40 minute allotted time. So then I'll be showing some case studies on the screen, I'll be working them out, you can follow along, and then that way it'll help you on your time. So stay tuned, we'll be right back and be showing different time management techniques. Looking at the first case study that we're going to work on the time management, here we have a question that's 4 lines. And for me personally, if the question that I have on the CPC exam, if it's more than 2 lines, I just go straight to the multiple choice, A, B, C, D. Because of the fact that once I start reading a 3rd line, I basically kind of forget what the 2nd line was and the 1st line. So here we have an example of a question that's 4 lines. If you notice that the first CPT code and all of the options start in the 20,000 range. We have 3 of them that begin in the 20,000s, Alpha, Charlie, and Delta. And then Bravo starts with 27,000. And then we have the second code is the same HIPAA code, J33.01, with some of the difference in units. Alpha and Charlie have 4 units. Bravo and Delta has 1 unit. So looking at this right now, Bravo is what I would call like a way off in left field type question, because the fact that 27093, I don't like that code, how that's in the 27,000s, and the other 3 options are in the low 20,000s. I really like Alpha 20610 and Delta 20611. So I'm going to look up those 2 codes first. So that way I can process eliminate quicker, but also too, because those 2 codes are more close to one another. And looking up 20610. So that's the code I'm going to look up first, because and what I do in this case, I'm liking Alpha and Delta, 20610 in Alpha, 20611 in Delta. And then I'm going to go in, I like to go in ABCD order so I just don't lose my place. So I'm looking up 20610 first. And then hypothetically, if that's not the correct code, then I should just have to look one code down for 20611. Let's see, 20610. The arthrocentesis, aspiration and or injection, major joint or bursa, such as a shoulder, hip, knee, subcranial bursa without ultrasonic guidance. So scanning through, my key information is major joint or bursa, and I'm scrolling through. Patient has chronic right tracheoanteric bursitis. So that part I like because the bursitis is scheduled to receive an injection. And then the word injection is also in my documentation for the CPT code 20610. And then the location of it, the right tracheocentric, then there I get my location there. And see, there's nothing about imaging guidance being performed. I'm sorry, ultrasonic. There's nothing about ultrasonic being performed. So in that case, 20610 is a valid code because I'm doing an injection into a bursitis because the injection is a major joint or bursa. So patient has bursitis, so that is an inflammation of the bursa. And then the location, the tracheoanteric, would place it as being a major joint or bursa for the size, and there's no mentioning of ultrasonic guidance. So that would eliminate out 20611, and my correct code is 20610. So that would make alpha my correct answer without even looking up what J3301 is for the HIPAA codes. I really don't care because there's only one option that has the 20610 in it. So in this case, we have a total of 4 different CPT codes and one same HIPAA code, both two different values of units. And we just happen to luck out by getting it on the first code. But let's say hypothetically, though, if alpha and delta were reversed, as in if the 20611 was in the alpha spot, and then the 20610 was in the delta spot, then I would have looked up 20611 first. Because again, like I like to go in A, B, C, D order when I'm looking at my first process of eliminations. And then that way I wouldn't be accidentally choosing the wrong code and get out of place. So even if the first CPT code and alpha and delta were reversed, then I would still be getting it with only looking up 2 codes. So that's something that we need to do with process of elimination is first look up a code that is going to be able to eliminate more than just one option. So for example, like in this case, the Bravo code, the 27093, how that was, what do I say the phrase, way off in left field. So I wasn't liking how that one looked. And then I eliminate down to start focusing on alpha, Charlie, and delta. So since 20610 in alpha and 20611 in delta were closer together numerically, then those are the 2 numbers that I focused on. So then that way, now it could have been Charlie, could have been the right answer, but that way at least looking up alpha and delta, I'm able to look up 2 CPT codes very quickly because they're either on the same page or at most one page after the other. So that's an example of doing one case. And now we're going to look at a different option for process of elimination. Now this example, it's quite a bit longer than the last one was, and I'm just going to guess it, about 12 or so lines, maybe 12, 13. Now in this case though, yes, we can process eliminate and work on the time management, even though with all of the A, B, C, D options, there's only one CPT code. Because in fact, we also have different modifiers to play with as well. So looking at here in Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, and Delta, how Bravo and Charlie both have the 51040 CPT code, and the difference is just modifier 52 or modifier 53. And then Alpha and Delta have, at least the codes are in the 51,000 range, Alpha 51050 and Delta 51102. So I'm liking how Bravo and Charlie look because both have the 51040 CPT code, with the only difference being modifier 52 or modifier 53. So that's the code I'm going to look up first, because if that code is correct, then I can eliminate out alpha and delta. If that code is not correct, then I can eliminate out Bravo or Charlie. I'm sorry, Bravo and Charlie. Regardless, though, either way you look at it, I'm going to be able to eliminate 2 right off the bat. So let's see. So 51040. So 51040. Cystostomy, cystotomy with drainage. See, so then we are, and that is the location. We're doing incision into the bladder. So then looking at the documentation, see, scanning through, see what's going on. See, I'm making an incision, following an old incision, following old scar. The sinus tract was excised, midline. So we have for the procedure, the planned procedure is to place a catheter tube to drain the bladder. So that is important information there. So we have to make an incision into the bladder to be able to place that catheter. And it's apparent that she has quite a bit of scarring from previous surgeries and appears to have old sinus tract just above the symphysis. Midline incision is made following her old scar from just above the symphysis for a length of about 4 to 6 centimeters. So today they make the midline incision. The sinus tract is excised, and this was also in the midline. And the fascia appears to be it does not appear to be actual hernia. Again, there's bicoative distortion from previous scarring because of obesity, but staying in the midline. Fascia is incised just above the symphysis. The fat and scar were incised above the fascia. So we're doing more incision. Mesh from previous hernia repair is felt. This is not palpable prior to the incision because of her body habitus. The mesh was not exposed or entered. It comes down quite close to the symphysis and certainly is too close to place the tube. There is concern the mesh may become infected with an SP tube tract right there. Therefore, the decision to abort the procedure was made. Okay, so here we do have the correct coding for the 51040. Because again, that description, cystostomy, cystotomy with drainage. So we have the incision done into the bladder. Because remember too with the prefixes. So for example, if you're looking at 51040, scrolling back to the blue header, it says incision, and scrolling back to the red header, it says bladder. So we know we're doing an incision into the bladder and to drain it out. But the problem is, though, they're not able to complete it. So 51040 is a valid code. So then that would make alpha a bad option, and so is delta in that case as well. But then we have modifier 52, reduced services, and modifier 53, discontinued procedure. So then this is where it can get tricky, because remember on the CPC exam, how you don't get half credit for getting the code right, but the modifier wrong. So with modifier 52, reduced services, that would be, I did not, as in, for example, the respect of the doctor, I did not do all the work, so don't pay me 100%, but I'm intentionally not doing all the work. As in, like, there's no need for me to do all of the work in the CPT code, so do not pay me 100% for the reimbursement of it.
But then modifier 53, discontinued procedure, that in a nutshell means that if the doctor has to stop the procedure for the wellness of the patient, then we use modifier 53, discontinued procedure. So you can think of it as like the doctor saying, I have no need to do all of the description of the CPT code, modifier 52. Or if the doctor is saying, I want to do all the work, but I can't for something that's out of my control, for example, the health of the patient, then modifier 53. So in this case, then modifier 52 is incorrect because the doctor would like to do the procedure all the way through, but for the health status of the patient, because the part where it says there is concern the mesh may be infected with an SP tube tracked right there, that gives us confirmation that the doctor wants to try it, but can't. And then the phrase, therefore, the procedure is aborted. So then that would give us the modifier 53 in that case. So with this option, we only have one CPT code each, but we're still able to process of eliminate for starting that because two of the CPT codes are identical. The 51040, the only difference was the modifiers. So that is the one code I looked up because if that one code was correct, in this case it was, then I can cross out alpha and delta. If the code was incorrect, then I could cross out Bravo and Charlie, still leaving me with two options to look at. But 51040 was correct, eliminating out alpha and delta, leaving me the difference modifier 52, modifier 53. Then I just had to check to see why 100% of the work was not done. And again, because worry about an infection. So then the doctor aborted the procedure for modifier 53, discontinued procedure. And that's a nice, simple way to help work the process of elimination on the CPC exam.
Thank you for watching this episode of the Paul Chandler Show, where we just covered test-taking techniques for time management on AAPC credentials. And if you have any additional questions, feel free to reach out. You can also suggest topics for the show. Just visit thepaulchandlershow.com, and up on top, click on Suggest a Topic for the Show. Again, thank you for watching this episode of the Paul Chandler Show, and have an awesome rest of your day.